We now return to our previously scheduled war.
Be not afraid. Faith sees best in the dark. A battle between democracy and autocracy, between liberty and repression, between a rules-based order and one governed by brute force. And now, in the perennial struggle for democracy and freedom, Ukraine and its people are in the front lines. My message to the people of Ukraine: we stand with you. A former president named Abraham Lincoln, he said, let us have faith that right makes might. All the world democracies have a responsibility to help, all of them. And the people of Ukraine can count on the United States to meet its responsibility. Rather than driving NATO apart, the West is now stronger and more united than it has ever been. And finally, most urgently, we maintain absolute unity. We must among the world's democracies. We must commit now to be in this fight for the long haul. We must remain unified today and tomorrow and the day after, and for the years and decades to come. It will not be easy. There will be cost, but it's a price we have to pay, because the darkness that drives autocracy is ultimately no match for the flame of liberty that lights the souls of free people everywhere. Time and again, history shows that it's from the darkest moments that the greatest progress follows. Never, ever give up hope. Never doubt. Never tire. Never become discouraged. Be not afraid. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
It was a great speech. It met the moment. It was received well around the world. There were only two things the whole world did together this weekend, which is two more things than normal. Normally, we don't do things globally, okay? But this weekend, we had two things that we did globally. The whole world watches the Oscars, just so you know. The whole freaking world watches the Academy Awards, and the whole world watched Joe Biden in Poland, in Warsaw, this particular weekend. And the speech was incredible. It was uplifting. My favorite part wasn't even included in that little piece that the Lincoln Project put together. That was their mashup of Saturday. My favorite part was when he actually spoke to the people of Russia, when he actually addressed the Russian people and told the Russian people, you're better than this and you know it. You know, this propaganda war, this iron curtain of media that has fallen down so that you have to go out and find a VPN or somehow get on YouTube, which is the only thing left that they can watch in Russia, the only outlet left that they can maybe figure out what's going on is YouTube. And you know how much trash there is on YouTube? It's just like amazing. But he spoke to the people of Russia and he said, this is unworthy of you. You are a great people. You are an awesome people. And, what he's doing is not worthy of your greatness.
I've always spoken directly and honestly to you, the Russian people. Let me say this, if you're able to listen.
Yeah.
You, the Russian people, are not our enemy. I refuse to believe that you welcome the killing of innocent children and grandparents.
Yep. Or
that you accept hospitals, schools, maternity wards, and for God's sake, being pummeled with Russian missiles and bombs. Or cities being surrounded so that civilians cannot flee. Supplies cut off and attempting to starve Ukrainians into submissions. Millions of families are being driven from their homes, including half of all Ukraine's children. These are not the actions of a great nation. Of all people, you, the Russian people, as well as all people across Europe, still have the memory of being in a similar situation in the late 30s and 40s. Situation in World War II, still fresh in the minds of many grandparents in the region. Whatever your generation experienced, whether it experienced the siege of Leningrad or heard about it from your parents and grandparents, train stations overflowing with terrified families fleeing their homes, nights sheltering in basements and cellars, mornings sitting through the rubble in your homes, These are not memories of the past, not anymore.
Huh.
Because it's exactly what the Russian army is doing in Ukraine right now. March 26, 2022, just days before we're at the 21st, you were a 21st century nation with hopes and dreams that people all over the world have for themselves and their family. Now, Vladimir Putin's aggression have cut you, the Russian people, off from the rest of the world. And it's taking Russia back to the 19th century. This is not who you are. This is not the future you deserve for your families and your children. I'm telling you the truth. This war is not worthy of you, the Russian people. Putin can and must end this war. The American people will stand with you and the brave citizens of Ukraine who want peace.
I mean, that was a really important portion of the speech. And of course, just like the slap ruined the Oscars, right? The very end of Biden's speech, the very last thing that Biden said was, for God's sake, this man cannot stay in power. And the whole freaking media monopoly or triopoly, whatever, we have, three places we can get news from. So, yeah, they were all like, oh, was he calling for regime change? And, you know, I have to tell you that I got that same response when I first started talking about this invasion, this senseless bombing, this senseless killing, this demolition of a 21st century country, a democratic country that did absolutely nothing at all but exist. That's all it did. It existed. It didn't join NATO, and even if it did, so what? Why are you so afraid of democracy on your border, Putin? You see what I mean? So, but all he got after that speech, which was brilliant, it was beautiful, it was important. He quoted Pope John Paul II. He quoted Lech Walesa from the Solidarity movement in Poland, where Poland was able to throw over its dictatorship too. And it took them 8 years to do it in Poland. I don't know how many people understand what the Solidarity movement was and how freaking long it took for them to get a free and fair election in Poland. And when they finally got a free and fair election in Poland, they actually elected Lech Walesa, who was who they wanted 8 years before, but couldn't have a free and fair election to elect him. Well, Russia doesn't have free and fair elections, and Belarus is the last real dictatorship in Europe. This Viktor Lushenko, or whatever his name is, this guy has been in power for 28 freaking years. That's why Belarus has thrown in with Putin, because he doesn't want to relinquish power in his last dictatorship in Europe. So this speech was amazing. The speech was it was a triumph of light over the darkness in the time of darkness. And the last thing that Biden said was, my God, man, this man cannot stay in power, or this man should not be in power. And all of these lunatic people in the media looking for something instead of, praising that this moment and this speech met the moment and how extraordinary a president we have. And thank God we have this man and not the other dude at this important time. No, instead they just said, oh, well, he's talking about regime change. He was not talking about regime change by our hand. He's not talking about America. We don't even have a presence in this war. We're not even there. He's talking to the Russian people, telling the Russian people, this government you have is not worthy of your greatness. And that's true. Don't have time to listen to a live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randirhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.